Cursed panels, the powder that makes you say yes. If you've been online for a while, you may have stumbled across an image of Plastic Man guzzling down some kind of mysterious powder with an accompanying label of the powder that makes you say yes, and then speech bubble going, yes. All of this is housed within a classic meme template, and you may have laughed, or perhaps wondered, but why though? Or perhaps you've never seen it at all and this is your first time, and now you're saying, but why though? Because this, as one can see, is a modification from the original panel. It didn't say this in the original issue. So where did it come from, and how did it become a thing, and why? I'm Sasha, this is Casually Comics, and this is, as mentioned, Cursed Panels. In this series, we examine the historical context and origins behind some out there panels. Would it shock you to know that this isn't even Plastic Man? No, it's not. Rather, it's someone masquerading as him. It's a protoplasmic alien named Amorpho. This panel hails from a comic from the Golden Age. That's right, it's back to the Golden Age. We're going so far back that Plastic Man is still a Quality Comics character before DC acquired those characters, and then forgot they owned Plastic Man for a little bit, several years. Plastic Man, aka Patrick E.L. O'Brien, debuted in Police Comics #1 in 1941. He was created by Jack Cole and, as mentioned, was published through Quality Comics. Plastic Man rose to be one of Quality's most popular characters, and beginning in 1944 had his own self-titled comic. This ran until 1956 and lasted 64 issues. But from issue 53 onward it had been reprints as the company began to spiral before its eventual shuttering and many of the characters being sold off to DC, at the time National Comics. The issue our panel that will become the powder that makes you say yes comes from is Plastic Man #21, and the year it came from, 1950, so a pre-code comic. Get excited. It's from the third story entitled Where is Amorpho, written by William Woolfolk with art by Jack Cole. Plastic Man series was a comedic one, and there were a couple of layers to this. There was slapstick comedy, there was also a period-typical comedic sidekick in the form of Woozy Winks, and some pretty witty, absurd situational humor. It was all very snappy, a snappy repartee. And all of those things come together in this story, which is worth checking out, and you can do so a variety of ways. It's been digitized, it's been collected, you can even actually read it for free legitimately. This on the Digital Comic Museum. And it was included in a collection called The Greatest Golden Age Stories Ever Told. So get hype. They said ever told. Does it hold up to that standard? That's not what we're here for, but let's touch on it. Our story opens with Amorpho landing on Earth. From the tiny rocket ship there emerges a shapeless, featureless, indefinable mass of protoplasm. This is Amorpho. I'm so tempted to say Metamorpho. We are far too early. Amorpho is a creature that can alter its shape, seemingly down to the molecular level, so it can also copy abilities and the like. And it's looking to assume the best form for its mission. First becoming a squirrel, then a dog. But neither are what Amorpho is looking for. It's not enough. And then Woozy Winks walks by.
Nice dog. You shouldn't be wandering around this hour of the night. Go home to your master.
Alas, the creature that can talk. He has the rudiments of a language too, and wears clothes. I'm curious as to why a mass of protoplasmic ooze holds clothing as a standard of evolution, but we're gonna go with it. Maybe at some point you go from clothes to ooze, you're beyond clothes, then you get that big giant head that they all think that people will get in the future. Assuming Winks' form allows Amorpho to get on with its mission. And that's inspiring the salt vampire from Star Trek TOS. Amorpho needs this planet's salt. There can never be enough salt for Amorpho. A creature after my own heart.
I can't believe it. He's eaten 20 pounds of salt already and still lapping it up.
Slurp salt. I don't know if you can slurp salt. The next day, Plastic Man is summoned to the FBI headquarters.
Some escaped lunatic robbed a food warehouse last night. He ate up 100 pounds of salt that was to be shipped in interstate commerce.
That makes it a federal matter. Did you say salt, sir?
You heard me. I also said he was a lunatic. Here's his description. Bring him in before he causes any more trouble.
I'll do my best. I mean, only a madman can eat that much salt and live. You can see here a bit of that snappy tone and the fluidity of the art. It's very smooth. Cole has a lot of fun drawing Plaza's abilities and just making him feel like he's always in motion and shifting, and just that cartoonish energy. It matches the fun and zany vibe, which also is mirrored but more subtly by this FBI investigation into federal salt theft. Amorpho comes across Plastic Man after transforming into a literal sack of salt, because that draws the attention of the authorities, just sitting there guzzling the salt. It's a good plan. You actually saw the salt get up and walk away. You're sure there wasn't a man hiding in it? I mean, it's a valid question. Plastic Man has to investigate all the angles. He's thorough like that. He's on the case. I almost said Chase is on the case. Too much Paw Patrol. Plastic Man ends up fighting Amorpho in salt sack form, but this impresses the alien, who realizes with Plastic Man's form, it can get all the salt it wants. Although Amorpho could always change shape, but not be so stretchy. I guess it's that. Improved abilities. That night as the patrolman pounds his lonely beat.
Why, it's Plastic Man. What's he doing here?
What business is that of yours? But if you must know, I'm stealing a few crates of imported salt.
Oh my gosh, his foot. I just realized how huge his foot gets to crush him.
Next time, don't ask silly questions and you won't get into trouble. Does the imported salt taste better? Asking for a friend. This leads us to our panel. The real Plastic Man is summoned by the policeman's whistle and catches up with Amorpho, who is about to enjoy this fine imported salt. Just pouring it down his throat, down a huge gullet created using Plastic Man's abilities. Aha, caught you in the act, you imposter.
What?
Yep, there it is, that's it. As you can see, it's also a small panel, so in order to fit the meme format, or be better seen, it has to be blown up. Which is why so often when you see it, it's in potato quality. Like in my thumbnail. Amorpho is subdued and sent back to space, cowed by its defeat by Plastic Man. And the FBI, they managed to work this out. Plastic Man told the story and weird things were always happening to him. Case closed. This story is a solid and fun one. And it definitely is a strong outing from the Golden Age, but there are so many Golden Age stories, the greatest ever told. It's a good one. Maybe you can have multiple volumes. But enough of my ramblings. The powder that makes you say yes. How? Why? Well, for the emergence of this meme from this panel, we need to go back to 2016, which is the earliest recorded sighting of this panel separated from the rest of the story and given a new context. At this point, it's the unaltered panel. It was used as part of a reply on a RWBY shipping thread discussing who/which characters the original poster should ship and why. The discussion ended up getting people a little salty, which is slang for butthurt or annoyed, as shipping discussions, especially if they happen on Reddit, tend to do. While all this was going on, Shinigami Peter stated,
You can feel the time period in that name. I love it. I too enjoyed Death Note.
I'll take a potato chip and eat it.
They stated, don't worry, I can handle the salt. And there was a hyperlink to a cropped version of the aforementioned panel. With the way it was cropped, it just was featuring the seeming Plastic Man, the mouth, the what panel, so a very small square. It cuts out the original Plastic Man entirely. You just need the salt for the point that's being made for that context. They can consume all the salt. Now, this panel would then be clipped because now it was out there. It was on Reddit. It was on the internet as its own kind of separate thing. It was taken and used in what some online call an anti-meme. So memes that use the typical meme format, in this case macro text, but in the service of anti-jokes about internet or meme culture itself. You can debate whether or not you feel this is an anti-meme or a regular meme or both, since anti-memes are technically types of memes, but that is besides the point. The point is that it first appeared in the powder that makes you say yes format in 2017. On July 4th, Independence Day in America. Today we celebrate random Plastic Man memes. It was posted on Reddit in r/bone hurting juice. So the powder that makes you say yes is a twist on the bone hurting juice meme, which in and of itself was an anti-meme. Take notes, there'll be a test later. Can you imagine? Alright kids, today in meme/internet culture 101, the nay-nay, followed by the Twilight baseball scene. From there, proliferated rapidly, specifically for 2 weeks, although every now and again, of course, they'll crop up, but 2 weeks was its big heyday. 2 weeks. Why? Well, that was just its life cycle. Not all memes have longevity. Not everything can end up becoming a phenomenon like Skibbity Toilet. Here's the thing with online jokes and memes. They move incredibly quickly and mutate rapidly and can oftentimes absorb other memes or jokes into themselves, like Zoolander kind of merging a bit with Skibbity Dop Dop Dop, yes, but then also with the Wednesday dance, that and the fact that people have rediscovered Zoolander in the newer generation. It was a whole thing, and you get this whole giant microcosm. And then Riz, I'm speaking another language, some of you I know. But that is to demonstrate that if one is involved at the genesis or the start of a meme, it can make complete sense. And one doesn't necessarily have to be early, but they can be in an adjacent group or on a platform where it's proliferating, or just someone who's savvy and can get into this type of online culture quite quickly. But for others, it can be mysterious, like a riddle of the Sphinx, just what is going on. Even why it's funny can be difficult to grasp, and from the outside looking in, sometimes it can just appear like nonsense, just impenetrable nonsense. The powder that makes you say yes is definitely one of those more insider baseball type memes. The internet has its own kind of culture and way of doing things and things that are going on. That's not necessarily a positive or a negative, just a statement. It is important to acknowledge that though when trying to see what parts of that can be pulled out into the non-digital or even just the non-chronically online space, because there's online, there's hanging out, doing memes and stuff, and then there's chronically online deep in the dark pits. And one of the things that's really fascinating about this is that many people didn't know where the original panel came from and had no interest in finding out because that wasn't the point. It was just a vehicle, it wasn't the destination. It's very fascinating how the source of the thing that's being memed or used to make the jokes sometimes isn't investigated. It can be, and lots of times it can reach resurgence and popularity of the original thing, but other times it can be completely divorced. It depends on how big it gets. This was pretty small and came from that one little crop panel, and also from an era of comic book history that not many people are overly familiar with, so it's not surprising that it didn't lead to a bunch of people stampeding to check out Golden Age Plastic Man. The Powder That Makes You Say Yes made it particularly big on Facebook, which also dates it. It spawned its own spin-offs. I'm particularly fond of the Elmo one. It has big Scarface energy, but as it stands, it's a bit of a blip. Why did it come and go? That was just its life cycle. Sometimes memes spring up and then they just fade back. There are those who know of it and those who completely missed it. But if you were ever wondering, or just saw it now and wondered, now you know. Meme, meet history, meet context. To me, it's all very fascinating, but I want to hear what you think. Do you remember / were you aware of this meme? Do you have some salt of your own about it? What other panels should we discuss? Share all your thoughts down below. While you're down there, please do all the YouTube things like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notifications so that you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking some of your day spent discussing comics with me. I always appreciate it, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.